Hey everyone, hope you all are having a great week. Wanted to share a few thoughts with you here as you get ready to have some discussion with your small group tonight. We talked on Sunday about the tale of two hearts, if you will. We looked at the Ethiopian eunuch and we looked at Simon the sorcerer, and we compared the way that their hearts responded to the Word of God. And I wanted to kind of stay on this theme here just for tonight to think a little more deeply about what it means or what it looks like to have the kind of heart that the Ethiopian eunuch had. One of the things we pointed out on Sunday is that he's reading the Word of God. He was reading it on his own, right? Didn't understand it. He invites Philip up to help explain it to him, and that spirit that he had certainly goes a long way in just him learning and understanding more about God, and of course he goes on his way rejoicing. I wanted to point us to another passage that we're all very familiar with from the book of Acts in chapter 17. It says in verse 10, "The brothers immediately sent Paul and Silas away by night to Berea, and when they arrived, they went into the Jewish synagogue. Now these Jews were more noble than those in Thessalonica. They received the word with all eagerness, examining the scriptures daily to see if these things were true. Many of them therefore believed, and not a few Greek women of high standing as well as men." And I think that these Bereans that are written about, many of us, if we've been around the church any length of time, have heard this passage read a number of times, and we often even read this passage to inspire each other and other people to really study the Bible and to take the time to dig in. I wanted to kind of focus, though, on the fact that these Bereans, as was the Ethiopian eunuch, they were curious. There's a curiosity about them that they wanted to know. They wanted to understand. And I think this curiosity is such an important piece of the puzzle. When we begin to lose our curiosity, we get stale, we get stagnant. And I think that's something that really we want to be able to tap into. When we think about our faith and growing in our faith, I think one of the keys is simply staying curious. Many of us who have been perhaps Christians for quite a while, we begin to, after you've been around a long time, you begin to hear, same things, maybe in sermons or lessons, and maybe in your own Bible study, you read the same book for now the 10th time, or there's a familiarity at times that creeps into our lives that really kind of leads to stagnation because we stop being curious. And I think one of the keys for us in growing in our faith is always maintaining this curiosity that both understands that we don't know everything, but that also is always looking to know more. I mean, who of us could even begin to scratch the surface of explaining and understanding fully our God? I mean, I've devoted my entire life to being in ministry, and I wouldn't dare say that I know everything there is to know about God. In fact, I'm pretty sure I probably only know a fraction. And yet, it's this curiosity and this desire to know that drives me forward, and I hope would drive you forward as well. One of the things about curiosity that I think, just thinking about what the benefits of being curious and what that looks like, I think being a curious learner, one of the things that it does is it opens us up to the possibilities, right? Just the things that are possible for us. And when we're not curious, everything kind of is as it is, and we maybe become a little bit cynical. But yet when we approach the Word of God, we approach our walk with God, our spirituality with a curious perspective, it opens up all kinds of opportunities of growth for us. I think secondly, what it does for us is it silences our fear. Sometimes fears, they slow us down, hold us back, and many times fears are related to simply things that we see and that we know, or that we think might happen. And so then the outcome of whatever that thing is that we're afraid of seems to be a certainty, and so therefore, so we fail to be curious, and it gives more life to that fear. And oftentimes when we approach things that we're fearful of with curiosity to understand, then it changes the game and allows us to, and many times, to overcome those fears. It silences that fear because we're not thinking about what might be, but we're imagining and curious about what is and what could be. I think the third thing is that being curious or being a curious learner leads us to innovation, in our lives. It's asking the question, I wonder if, right? That's a great question. Hey, I wonder if, and then fill in the blank, and having this curious approach to the Word of God, this curious approach to our spirituality. It creates all kinds of new things, which kind of which leads to the fourth thing, and that is that it opens up opportunities, right? It opens up opportunities for growth in our lives. When we are curious, when we continue to dig, when we continue to seek to understand more greatly God's ways, His ways in our lives, His ways in our relationships, His ways in the church. As we dig more and we ask more questions, then I believe it leads us to greater faith, really, to greater opportunities, and opens up doors. I think about all the different things that we've, maybe different issues and different things that we've wrestled with, whether it's within the church, outside the church. The truth is, being curious is always an incredibly great posture to have, whether it's trying to be curious about someone else, about their beliefs, about their understanding, about their ways. It's the same thing when it comes to God. And if we could maintain this curious posture, a learner's posture, I think it's going to help us tremendously as we grow, whether you're been a Christian for a week, or whether you've been a Christian for 3 decades. And so tonight, for our discussion, I do have a few questions for us that I'd like for us to take a look at. That is, first one is this: what is something you're curious about? And have you devoted time and space to gaining greater understanding? So as you think about this idea of curiosity, what are some things that you're curious about? And we're speaking, of course, spiritually here. There's a lot of random things you might be curious about. We're talking about, spiritual things. Secondly, how have you seen faithful curiosity overcome fear in your own life? Perhaps there's an example you can think of where, you were fearful of something, but yet your faithful curiosity led you to overcoming that fear. And the third thing is, what are some opportunities that you can imagine might present themselves if you had greater curiosity? I'll leave this image on the screen, and I hope you guys have some great invigorating conversation tonight. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care.